Hello, thanks for joining us on your channel of choice at this time, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Welcome to Focus Nigeria, your program that puts the searchlight on topical issues in the polity. My name is Benga Aruleba. As I indicated on Wednesday, today's edition of the program is special because we are hosting a very big guest, the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, is our guest. The minister is dutiful, very punctual at public events, and he's already here. In fact, he's been here for more than 30 minutes. So he will be joining me here shortly. Just two quick developments for your information from events that have been trending in the politics since yesterday. The Senate on Wednesday displayed maturity and more political sagacity when it committed a bill seeking the establishment of a Southeast Development Commission to its Committee on Establishment and Public Service to deal with after the bill's second reading. Apparently aware of the bad blood generated by the outcome of a similar attempt in the House of Representatives last Thursday, Senate President Bukola Saraki was determined yesterday to do things differently.
For the development of the Southeast, conceive, plan, and implement in accordance with the set rules and regulations, projects and programs for the sustainable development of the Southeast in the field of roads, education, health facilities, employment, industrialization, agriculture, housing, and urban development. In conclusion, Mr. President, it is important to know that this bill, the financial body, is not on the federal government.
Those in favor that this bill be read the second time, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Unlike the walkout we saw in the House of Representatives last Thursday, it was jubilation that greeted the development in the Senate yesterday. All right, this one too, well, good news for some, bad news for many. INEC has registered 5 more political parties, bringing the number of registered political parties in the country to 45. At the end of the meeting of its board in Kaduna yesterday, INEC said only 5 out of the 95 political associations that applied for registration met the requirements and were thus registered.
Today approved the applications of 5 of the associations which have fulfilled the constitutional requirements for registration. These are Young Progressive Party, YPP. The second one, Advanced People's Democratic Alliance, APDA. Advanced People's Democratic Alliance, APDA. The third one, New Generation Party of Nigeria, NGP. The fourth one, All Democratic People's Movement. All Democratic People's Movement, ADPM. And the fifth one is the Action Democratic Party, ADP.
By the way, they said they are not APDA. It is APDA. Before you know it, in the Southeast, APDA will become APUDA. And then in the Southwest, it will become AKPODA. And AKPODA in Yoruba is something very horrible. Anyway, just to tell you, it is not APDA, it is APDA. Stronger together. Anyway, we have an important guest today, as I said, the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. He's already in the house, so no need to waste too much time as we have a lot to talk about. So let's quickly take a break to usher in the Honorable Minister.
See chaos and conflicts. We see community action for good governance. They see poverty and want. We see perseverance and the will to go on. They see economic law. We see the ingenuity and creative spirit of our people. We are AIT News, fresh, authentic views of Africa. How would you rather see the world? AIT News, all sides, all the time.
Okay, if you're just joining us, a very warm welcome to you. We are going straight into the discussions now. Like I said, the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, is our guest today. He's been in the house for over 30 minutes now. That's to tell you how very dutiful and punctual to events the Honorable Minister is. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you, sir.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
It's your first time on this program.
For a while, yes. I used to be here quite often before, you know.
Yes.
But for a very long time, this is my first time.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, in your capacity as minister.
I think it's my first time. Yes.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So many things to take up with you this morning. Let's start from the very latest ones. The threat issued by some northern youths against some fellow Nigerians, asking them to leave the north within a certain period of time. Well, of course, we saw reactions coming quick and fast from the states in the north and the federal government as well. But a lot of people will expect the federal government to go beyond merely reassuring people. Because before you know it, some people may begin to take the laws into their hands. Don't you think there's need to actually send the right signal by calling people to order in the way the law wants it? You know, make some arrests, make an example of some people.
I think the government must not overreact and send panic, to the populace. The issue of incendiary languages, the issue of, divisive, messages, it didn't start today. Like I said at my press conference yesterday. And I think it is the credit of this government that more than 6-7 months ago, we raised this issue that Nigerians should please be cautious, and they should please be they should be very careful on what they say, either from the political perspective or from the religious perspective. But what we want to assure all Nigerians is that every Nigerian is safe anywhere in this country, can go about its lawful, business, and the federal government will give full protection. And we will, of course, not hesitate to wield, the law, if we believe that anybody is going beyond his bound, beyond his limit. But we must say that, and we must admit that people have been quite reckless. People have been quite if there's a stronger word than reckless, I think I want to use it. In the kind of utterances they've been making over time, either against government, against groups, or against individuals. And I think this is where the danger lies. We have had experiences in many parts of the world where genocide and mass killings started from hate speeches like this. And this is clearly hate speeches. But unfortunately, no part of the country can probably say it is free of it. And so our appeal is to every Nigerian to please be careful and be mindful of what they are saying. And they should appreciate one thing, that is because Nigeria exists, because Nigeria is peaceful, that is why they can even exercise their so-called freedom of speech.
Okay. The same kind of conciliatory approach that the government has taken on some other issues, I also seem not to be working. For instance, the federal government has also not spoken reassuringly on the agitations by IPOB, for instance, on the issue of herders versus farmers. The federal government has also not been so proactive beyond maybe just making statements once in a while and all of that.
You see, Benga, it's not easy for the federal government to either wield the big stick or take, or make, statements in respect of some issues. As far as we are concerned with IPOP, as long as they do not constitute themselves or put it this way, as long as they practice their freedom of speech, freedom of association, and it does not affect me or you, and it does not lead to breakdown of law and order. It's a free society. We cannot ask anybody not to agitate. Everywhere in the world there are agitations. But please, your agitation must be done within the ambits of the law. In respect of the herdsmen and farmers clashes, which the government has expressed its view on clearly, it's quite unfortunate. These are people who had been living together over ages, and we believe that the solution is more to be found locally than even at the federal government level. Locally, by what the governors are now doing, what the communities are now doing, trying to ensure that peace reigns between the herdsmen and the farmers. And I think two examples come to mind here. The efforts of the Edo state government trying to create, a grazing land for all herdsmen, where they would, provide water and grazing material for herdsmen, and any herdsman who is now found outside that grazing land, of course, will not have to. Exactly. And in Kaduna State also, we have the issue of, I think the governor is putting together both the grazing land and also a ranch.
And I think Bayelsa as well.
Bayelsa too, sir. I believe that at the end of the day, we'll be able to find a permanent solution. But as far as the government is concerned, and Mr. President made it very clear, nobody will escape, persecution simply because he says he belongs to one, ethnic group or the other. And the government has outlawed the kind of guns by anybody. But these problems again is compounded by the ECOWAS protocol that allows freedom of, people and goods across border. There have been cases where some of these herdsmen have been found not to be Nigerians, and the Minister of Agriculture has, is working with the Minister of Foreign Affairs to raise this matter at the ECOWAS, forum and also at AU forum.
Okay. It's 2 years of the APC-led government. I'm sure you get some of these grumblings here and there and all of that. Probably the loudest will be that the APC government has actually not met the aspirations of Nigeria. It has not delivered on the change it promised. Let me give you just a few minutes to speak to what the challenges are and the areas we think the government has actually made a difference in the last 2 years.
Thank you, Benga. For people who say this government has not done anything or that this government has failed, I say without any equivocation that this government has not failed. This government has succeeded in every aspect of the promise it made to Nigerians. This government campaigned largely on 3 issues. We said we are going to tackle insecurity. We said we are going to fix the economy, and we said we are going to, wage war against corruption. And in all of these, in all of these areas, we have made remarkable progress, and we have made remarkable success. Now, those who want to judge this government must judge us in context. They must understand what the situation was when we came in and what the situation is today. And I'll start with power. When we came in on the 29th of May 2015, all the generating companies could only produce 2,690 megawatts of power. By February 2016, we're able to increase this to 5,014 megawatts.
5,014.
Until the restiveness in the Niger Delta resulted in our losing some of these, facilities. I'm talking about the Focados export line, which up to today is yet to be commissioned, and which has decommissioned and I know 1,000 megawatts of power. But despite that, today we're still producing close to 4,000 megawatts of power, and we're able to achieve this by addressing the issue of transmission. We're able to address this by addressing the issue of the liquidity problem, which has been the major problem between the gas producers and the generating companies. When we introduced the payment assurance scheme, we injected about 701 billion naira into the system to.
That's the one that is just taken off now.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Now, but apart from that, we face the issue of power because squarely because we read that without power there can be no growth, there can be no industrial growth. And what have we done in addition to what I've just said? We've signed 13 PPA agreements, power purchase agreements, with 13 solar companies, which was going to add an extra 1,000 megawatts to our grid. The Ministry of Water Resources is also, working on 3 dams to produce an extra 1,200, megawatts of power, while the NNPC is also working to give us an extra 2,500 megawatts of power. But what people must understand is that the power situation is not what it used to be 5 years ago, where the government generated, the government, distributed and
collected
and transmitted. No. Today we privatized the entire, sector. Generation is privatized, distribution is privatized, and even transmission is contracted out. And all the government does today is like it monitors. It's like a regulatory agency through NERC. So when people say, number one, we must make it clear that we have improved on what we met. Yes, we all agree that we can do much better, but we are constrained because the option open to us probably would have been cancel the compensation, arrangement which we made. But that would have sent a wrong signal to the investing community, and that's why we are trying to, help them, strengthen them, and that's why we are making the interventions we are making.
Okay. Apparently, the APC wasn't aware of the enormity of the problem when he promised that when he said any serious government will fix the power situation in the country in 6 months.
Now, because we did not know that this, we didn't see the flaws in the privatization when we came, before we came in. You see, all we knew was that power had been privatized, generation had been privatized, distribution had been privatized, and we believe that there was enough, resources put together that the companies had the capacity, both in terms of financial resources, manpower, and expertise. But when we came in, we found out that it could have been done better. We just put it very mildly. It could be done better. But rather than scrap it, we decided to strengthen it and build on it.
Okay.
Now, in the area of infrastructure,
have we seen much change?
Well, you see, it's important for you. I want to tell you, there's a lot of change in the infrastructure. For instance, when we came in, and for you to know exactly what we have done, let me give you example what happened in 2015 and what happened in 2016. In 2015, the entire country spent only 18 billion naira on roads. 2016 budget year, we spent 260 billion naira on roads.
Okay.
In 2015, the government spent 5 billion naira on power. This year, we spent 99 billion naira on power. Housing, in 2015, government spent 1.8 billion naira on housing. We spent 70 billion naira this year. That shows you precisely the difference. And what has that given us? That has given us 369 kilometers of new roads and about 430 kilometers of repaired roads, 24 bridges, new ones, and 21 bridges that have been maintained. And it has, as a result, we've created 17,000 direct jobs.
17,000
direct job in the works
in the construction
industry, and 50,000 indirect jobs. And we have been able to, empower 542 local contractors.
542.
Yes.
How come they are still complaining that the federal government is paying only foreign contractors, whereas the local contractors that are the ones employing more Nigerians?
I'm just giving you that we have empowered 542 local contractors.
Is this for a fact? Have you cross-checked this from the Ministry of Finance?
Course, I will not, but I will not be.
Because up until last week, I got a letter from an association of indigenous contractors who were even planning what they call a protest for this week.
You see, what you should appreciate is that we inherited about 1.7 trillion debt from contractors.
1.7 trillion?
Yes, when we came in. And the facts I'm giving you are facts that you can cross-check either from Ministry of Works or from Ministry of Finance. Now, we have in the agricultural sector, for instance. Now, between the CBN's, Anchor Borers program and the Ministry of, Agriculture, soil map, we've been able to increase yield per acre from 2 tons to 7 tons in some states. And we brought about a rice revolution. In 2015, this country imported 580,000 metric tons of rice. This will cut down to 58,000 in 2016. And local production has been tripled. In the area of fertilizer, we've been able to do away with subsidy. And today, because we have this arrangement with the Moroccan government that gives us discount phosphate, we mix it with the local urea, and we are able to bring to our farmers fertilizers at a cost of 5,500 from 8,000, which is a reduction of 30%. Yeah. But this has also helped us to create more jobs, because before now we had 5 blending plants which were working at 10% capacity. Today we have 11 blending plants all over Nigeria working full capacity. We have been able to save $200 million in foreign exchange and about 60 billion naira in budgetary provision. Now, and we are now encouraging and bringing in rice mills which we are selling as subsidy to farmers. We are bringing in palm oil mills which we are selling at subsidy to farmers. And our aim is to ensure that this country becomes self-sufficient in food security.
There are allegations that local rice is costlier than the imported rice.
It is true, and it's because, you see...
Is it that defeating the essence of growing what we need to eat?
No, it's not.
Because if I can get access to imported rice at a cheaper price, I would rather go for it than say I want to be patriotic and buy local rice at a much more exorbitant cost.
You see, Benga, the truth of the matter is that Nigeria is a...
But why is the local rice costly?
That's what I'm trying to say. Nigeria is a dumping ground for foreign rice.
Including the ones that are not good for us.
And exactly. And these countries actually subsidize their farmers. So the landing cost of a bag of rice from India to Nigeria is cheaper than the locally produced rice, because the government there wants to dump it and they're subsidizing the farmers. And this is what we are working at also, to give subsidy to farmers, not in terms of money, but in terms of probably subsidizing their transportation, which we are working on. But the truth of the matter is that the rice they are bringing, some of them are 10 years old. They are simply rebagged. But the economies of these countries are collapsing because of the measures we put in place. Yes, it's true that a lot of rice is still being smuggled, but officially been able to cut the importation from 580,000 to 58,000 in 1 year.
Can we do better? Probably through higher tariffs.
As a matter of fact, you see, the issue of smuggling is so, it's an issue that we are tackling, and the customs is doing its best. But let me give you an example. You see, Benin Republic imports as much rice and as much frozen, chicken, almost as much as China. Where is the market? Nigeria. And that is why we're looking to take even stricter measures to ensure that, we curb this dumping and this smuggling of rice. But at the end of the day, any country that does not have food security will not have lasting peace. That is why we are, we are intensifying our efforts in the agricultural area. We are providing agricultural extension, workers to advise farmers on what kind of fertilizer to apply to what kind of land and what to grow where. But we believe that if we are as lucky as we were this year in the harvest, then you will see better collaboration between states, like the one that is going on between Kebbi and Lagos State, and we're able to bring down the price of rice. But what the government is working on is intervening, especially in the area of transportation. And you see, our major objective, which is investing in infrastructure, is going to pay off. We have today not just awarded the contract for the standard, rail between Lagos and Ibadan. We've actually started work in earnest on that. Then we've also awarded the contract to the General Electric to manage the 3,500 kilometers of, narrow gauge rail, so that we can now use rail to transport goods, use rail to transport, agricultural products. Then that way it's going to become cheaper. In addition to looking at how we can intervene directly to give subsidy to agricultural transportation.
Still on what the APC promised, let's look at the economy, for instance. It was one of the 3 key issues on which President Muhammadu Buhari campaigned. The economy is not showing signs of responding, because perhaps one way that Nigerians want to see or measure the improvement of the economy is in the life of the average Nigerian. Just yesterday, the National Bureau of Statistics said 5.5 million Nigerians became unemployed in the last 2 years. And that has been the last 2 years of the APC government.
Yeah. You see, what we must understand is that, when recession comes, recession does not come overnight. Recession comes as a result of, accumulated, deficiency in the economic structure. And incidentally, even South Africa, just fell into recession 2 days ago too. Now, and that shows that this thing is global. But what we should ask ourselves is, what was the situation when we came in, and what is it today? In the first quarter of 2016, 29 subsectors of the economy were under recession. Today, we almost have that to 16. In the first quarter of 2016, the manufacturing sector was -7% negative growth.
Excuse me.
First quarter of 2017, the same industry has shown 1.36 positive growth. Now, there are some actions or some policies which government has taken which has impacted positively. I'll just give you 2 examples. The moment the government introduced the payment agreement program, which is the intervention of the 701 billion naira,
Yeah.
Transcorp Transcorp company which generates, electricity, call the minister that they are ready to, come and commission their 150, megawatts, because they saw the positive, role of government, that if they produce, they will be paid. Now you can see that 2 or 3 days after we signed this, the Executive Council approved the PPP arrangement between May and Baker and the Ministry of and Federal Government to produce vaccines. The price of May and Baker shares shot through the roof. And you can see in the last couple of days how the stock exchange market is, is doing. It's a reaction to the positive, things the government is doing. Now, still talking on the economy, and people talk about unemployment, yes, but we must also realize that this government has also embarked on the most ambitious social intervention program in the history of this country, and it's succeeding very well. We've been able, under our Empower, to employ 200,000 unemployed graduates, and we are reopening the portal on the 13th of June to employ another 300,000. And this
to 500,000.
500,000, and these are verifiable people, because on 29th of May, we did invite some of the representatives to the villa to tell their experiences to the world. We promised we are going to introduce, the homegrown feeding program. As of today, 9 states have been covered. About 1,100,000 pupils are taking free meals. 25 free meals have been served to date, and over 12,000 people have been employed as cooks under this program. Our conditional cash transfer, we have today about 27,000 Nigerians regularly being paid 5,000 every month, and this is going to increase. Our JIP, which is the Government Empowerment and Enterprise Empowerment Program, we've given out 57,000 interest-free loans worth more than 5 billion naira, and we intend to reach at least 400,000 this year, because we've spent the last couple of months planning, getting BVN, getting the applicants to get their BVN, and we've overcome most of the initial problems. So it's important to let Nigerians know what we've achieved in the areas where we promised. And in the economy, one thing we are going to achieve is that we are going to leave a legacy. What is that legacy? Is that never again will Nigeria be held hostage by one single commodity. For more than 40 years, we've done nothing than rely on crude oil. Today, crude oil is suffering so much volatility, and that volatility has sent shockwaves to the entire economic, landscape, and that is where manufacturing is suffered, employment suffered, foreign reserve suffered, even the foreign exchange, the naira, suffered. But the good news is that despite all this, as tough as things are, we have been able to save, to grow our foreign reserve between October and date by $7 billion. Been able to attract about $500 million to the Sovereign Wealth Fund, and we've been able to increase our excess crude account by $87 million, even despite all these tough situations. But what we are doing is to restructure the economy in a manner that we will not be affected by any volatility in the oil sector, and that is what our economic, recovery and growth plan is all about. 1, to get out of recession. 2, invest in the Nigerian people, and thirdly, to ensure that we have a sustainable, competitive economy. And we are building this on 5 pillars. The first pillar is to to stabilize the macroeconomic environment. The second is to ensure that we are self-sufficient in food and agriculture. The third is to invest in transportation infrastructure. The fourth is to ensure that we are sufficient in power and energy. And lastly, that we create an enabling environment for the micro, small, and medium enterprises to survive. And that was led to the executive orders signed by the acting president that is now, in addition to every other thing, ensuring that priority is given to locally made products in government procurement. And this goes along. Goes along the position of Mr. President, and that we must eat what we grow, and we must consume what we produce.
All right, let's stay on what the APC promised and probably is not delivering on. Corruption. It will seem as if the anti-corruption war of the government is one that is being fought without a clear-cut strategy, such that the three arms of government are not on the same page. Talking about the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. While the legislature will want to protect their own, the executive is also trying to protect its own while looking for culprits in the other arms of government. I'm sure it will be to the embarrassment of government today that whereas 7 months ago, some judges were arrested in a manner that we made a drama and show of it, today almost all of them are back at their duty posts and all of that. So the major criticism of the anti-corruption effort has been that it is a war that has been targeting opponents of government. If you are corrupt and you are a friend of government or you are in government, nobody looks in your direction. And of course, the component of that, this morning, we understand that 22 whistleblowers have been paid a sum of 375.8 million naira within December now that the whistleblowers policy was launched. Isn't it time we begin to name and shame? Where did we recover and from whom did we recover the 11.6 billion naira the Minister of Finance is talking about? Since we are told that these are recoveries that are free from litigation. So nothing is wrong with naming those sources from where the government has been able to recover 11.6 billion naira. And of course, all of these recoveries, monies recovered from here, no owners, 46 million recovered from an apartment, no owners, and all of those things. All of these things are giving doubt as to the sincerity of the government.
Thank you, Benga. You see, I first address the issue of that this fight is one-sided, and that is actually aimed at, opponents. See, Benga, there's a proverb in Yoruba. Say, "Entio batiniyawo aneoliku." In other words, for you to be probed or to be a subject of investigation, you must first and foremost have been exposed to power. You must have access to power. You must have access to patronage. For 16 years, it was one political party that had control of all our assets. So it's only natural that the good percentage of those that will be probed will come from that party. Nobody can come and pick you now, Benga, and say, come and face corruption charges. You're never near government. You're never near any money. 2, anywhere you are going to fight corruption, you must be doubly prepared for corruption to fight back. Because there is so much money out there. And for them, it's about life and death. So expect a vicious fight back. And that's what we're experiencing today. As to naming, you see, the objective of this government in fighting corruption is 1, to return looted money. 2, let Nigerians know what corruption has cost them. And that's why in January 2016, when we launched, this, anti-corruption thing, we said that just 55 people in less than 7 years stole 1.353 trillion naira. But to give Nigerians a better understanding of what 1.35 trillion naira represents, we went further to say that if only 1/3 of that money was recovered, it will build us 600 kilometers of, double carriageway. In addition, it will build us 20,000 housing units of 2-bedroom flats. It will provide, in addition, an ultra-modern hospital in every state capital and still be able to train 4,000 children from primary school to university level. So our intention is to let people know what corruption has cost Nigeria. Now, as to naming people, you see, there are some people who actually return the money voluntarily.
Yeah, but they stole it in the first place.
No. Not, you see, we have 3 cases. Some people said, oh, when election was coming, we were given this money, but we were told that this money was contribution from private individuals, organizations. But now that we know that that money is actually meant for something that's from government, we are returning it. We believe that we need to respect such people. 2, if our objective is to bring in money, and we say that, and we're encouraging people to voluntarily return money, if you start naming them, then of course it will stop. You're not going to get any more money. And then there's the issue of litigation also. Even those who have honestly and corruptly, enriched themselves, who have returned money, who want to save their so-called, whatever is left of their integrity. So that's why we decided that let's first, concentrate on returning, this money. Then the whistleblower policy. The beauty of whistleblower policy is that it respects nobody. And the success we have recorded with whistleblower policy so far is that in less than 2 months, the first 2 months, we're able to recover 8 billion naira and 160 million US dollars. But in some cases, like in the case where we recovered, I think about 136 or so 152 million US dollars, the account was still sitting down there. It was a whistleblower that, alerted us to it. Now, and the credibility of whistleblower actually lies in protecting the anonymity of those people who have given you the information. And that is why we have a very elaborate plan and program for whistleblowers. We must protect their identity and their source. But at the same time, we warn them that any frivolous whistleblowing could lead to prosecution, as we can see.
And some people are already being prosecuted.
Oh, yes.
Why do we, because when people say that the world lacks strategy, that kind of a policy, for instance, ought to have a legal regime protecting it. What about the federal government pushing for
I think there's already that in the process, but so we can't wait for that law before we start. You see, because people who have stolen money, you see, it's so easy today to move money out of jurisdiction. So we will do both. We are pursuing, the law, so we have the legal backing, but the program is going on.
Well, what about, what's the attitude of the government, for instance, to the attitude of the judiciary to the anti-corruption? I mentioned the judges that were arrested.
You see,
because you also cannot arrest people, make a show of them for 7 months. No, in many of the cases, those that have been asked to return to their duty posts, the government didn't proceed further beyond the arrest.
I agree with you, Benga. You see, if you remember in 2016, I had a press conference and I explained that the entire justice system needs to be overhauled in a manner that will help for, prompt prosecution and resolution of cases. It's only in Nigeria that a prominent person is accused of corruption. Rather than work towards a quick resolution of the case, he engages in prolonging the process by frivolous applications, frivolous motions. We also admitted that the corrupt people are by far richer and better equipped than government. You see a corruption case, the accused person goes to court with 10 SANs, where we are just managing just 1 SAN to protect us. We also need to fortify those who are prosecuting these cases. Fortify them in terms of, give them more revenue, more resources, more training, more capacity. And that's why I said, if we want to fight corruption, be ready to really, absorb corruption, fighting you back. And of course, but you see, the beauty of it is that what we want to achieve is that when we start and establish this fight, it will be impossible for any other government to reverse the trend. And the thing about crime is that it has no time limit. So any other time, if you can't catch up with you today, the law will catch up with you later. But you must. It takes courage for any government to say it's going to fight corruption, because you're under a lot of pressure, But we would start. I mean, we have started. We have to continue. Otherwise, we'll be consumed by corruption itself. But
so what are the areas the government is looking at to fine-tune in the anti-corruption war?
Well, I think one thing that we are fighting, we are working to, strengthen more the anti-corruption agencies in terms of, capacity building, in terms even of, giving them equipment, in terms of funding. But more importantly, that we want to make sure that the criminal justice, administration law is actually implemented, because that one, it would actually have eliminated all these frivolous adjournments. And then we need the cooperation of lawyers, we need the cooperation of individual judiciary and everybody. Because you see, the thing about corruption is that today you might feel that it does not affect you, but really there's nobody today who is not a victim of corruption. Corruption is not a victimless, crime. It is a crime that has so many victims. How come that we have no power? It's because of corruption. Several billions of dollars was pumped into this sector a long time ago. Where is it today? I told you we inherited 1.7 trillion, debt. And the Fashola said he had about 2,000 abandoned projects. Recently, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, about a week ago in council, the minister of Niger Delta came with a memo. It was shocking that between 2009 and 2016, a whopping sum of 700 billion naira was appropriated by the Ministry of Niger Delta. Not talking about NDDC or other intervention agencies.
And only one project exists to show for it.
Of this 700 billion naira, sir, 453 billion was paid out, and only 8% success rate. 8%. Now, roads were being constructed at the rate of at the rate of 300 million naira per kilometer. Some at 1.2 billion naira per kilometer, and they were never done. Some people witness today that 92% of 453 million, so 4.3 billion naira is in the pockets of some people. And they say we should not fight corruption. We are going to fight it. We're going to ensure that those people either go back to site, complete those projects, or they pay back the federal government. It can be business as usual.
All right. Talking about what the government didn't promise, but which has become imperative. The clamor for restructuring is one. The IPOB clamor for a Republic of Biafra is anchored essentially on what the people of the Southeast perceive as injustice, inequality, denial, and all of that. And yes, the APC didn't promise restructuring, but hasn't restructuring, fundamental restructuring of the governance system, the structures of government, has that not become imperative? If so, when will the APC start this exercise?
Sibenga, a government will decide its priorities. We came in on 29th of May, 2015, at a time that almost 1/3 of the entire northeast of this country was in the firm control of Boko Haram insurgents. We came in and for us, that was important, that we regain territorial integrity of Nigeria. As Mr. President was being sworn in on 29th of May 2015, 20 out of 27 local governments in Borno State alone was under the effective control of Boko Haram. Not that they were just hoisting their flag. No, they had their government.
Well, we had elections in those local governments.
They were collecting taxes. They appointed their own emirs. They had their own judiciary. I was one of the earliest visitors to Bama, Konduga, Kauri in December 2015. And I saw the scale of the carnage and destruction. Therefore, for a government that came in, that has to handle three issues. One, restoring territorial integrity of the country. Two, fixing the economy. The economy that came in that by February 2016, the price of oil has gone down as low as $28. And then the impunity in corruption. So I believe that given what we inherited, restructuring couldn't have been a priority issue. And I think it's because we are able to have one Nigeria today, and we can have an economy, we can have a people.
It's not as if the government is ignoring it.
No, look, the government will never ignore the yearnings of its people. It will be considered and will be put on priority. But I can tell you right now, it's not in the priority. I think what Nigerians want now, they want more jobs. They want security. They want a better economy. They want a corruption-free, society, and we're working on it.
I still have a lot, but we don't have the time. Quickly, let me smuggle this one in. The federal government, I take that to mean the executive, wants to sue the National Assembly over the 2017 budget. Is there a problem with the budget as passed by the National Assembly?
Absolutely false. There is nothing like that. As a matter of fact, I left a meeting at about 11:30 last night, where we were meeting with the National Assembly to fine-tune the budget.
You are meeting with the National Assembly?
Yes, last night.
Okay.
Yes, we met the leadership of National Assembly, a few ministers led by the acting president, to ensure that there's harmony between what we gave them and what they've given us back. And I'm saying that meeting went very well, and Nigerians should in a few days be expecting the budget to be signed.
When will the president return back to his duty post?
By the grace of God, as soon as he's fit. And I think the cheering news is what the president's wife told us, that that he's recovering very fast and that he'll be home soon. And I think it's better that he stays there and he recovers fully so that he can, assume the mantle of leadership once again.
Your passing shot.
It's one to thank Nigerians for persevering, because times we agree have been quite tough, but at the same time to assure them that they have a committed, government that will stop at nothing to ensure that it fixes the economy. Our graduates are employed, and all our Nigerians are gainfully employed. We keep security is ensured, and that we leave a legacy where it will be possible for every Nigerian to achieve his own dreams.
Thank you so much. Alhaji Lai Mohammed is the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture. Thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
That's Focus Nigeria today. Thank you for investing your time with us. So sorry I couldn't read the tweets. Over 150 now pending, but you know why. I'll see you tomorrow, God willing.